On October 27, 2011, the advisors of Asante, Manitoba region, hosted a special client event. One of the featured guest speakers was Dr. Gord Sims, naturopathic physician. During his presentation, Gord shared some thoughts on stress and stress management strategies, as well as brain health and strategies that we can use in that area. Gord's presentation was very practical, and I know clients walked away with some great information. And enjoy the following presentation.
Dr. Sims graduated from a 4-year doctoral program at the National College for Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon. In addition, he obtained a master's in Oriental Medicine. The doctor is a frequent lecturer for, as well as being the past president of the Manitoba Naturopathic Association. Prior to his medical training, Dr. Sims obtained a BSc in the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Manitoba. This is my favorite part. Dr. Sims worked in the field of biomedical engineering, and he actually created and obtained a patent for a prosthetic or an artificial knee prosthesis. He's a board-certified and licensed, registered in Manitoba. He's a member of the Canadian Association of Naturopathic Doctors and a Manitoba Naturopathic Association.
Well, good evening. Can you hear me, everybody? Yeah, good. First of all, thank you all for coming tonight. I'd like to thank Shaun, Humphries, and Asante for inviting me to speak. I see some friendly faces out there, and I should tell you, however, that Shaun was telling me that if this crowd becomes too unruly, security is standing by to exit all of you here. Okay. I work with a group of other doctors at the Center for Natural Medicine here in Winnipeg. My wife, Dr. Suzanne Danner, Dr. Dean Schrader, and Dr. Sarah Krasinski, and we're joined also by a athletic trainer, Leila Hassan. Okay, so where do we want to take this talk tonight? Really, at the end of the day, this is a discussion about the effect of stress on the brain. And you're going to see that the effect of stress on the brain affects many of the symptoms that we experience in life. It speaks directly to our mental clarity, it speaks to our mood, to our memory, to our ability to learn, and it speaks to a lot of physical symptoms as well. So we're going to start with the stress equation, and really we'll just use that to help us focus our thoughts and our efforts tonight in understanding, which will take us to a discussion on the role of the adrenal gland. You can't talk about cognitive function and cortisol without stopping at the adrenal gland and taking a moment to understand who's the guy that secretes our stress hormones. The punchline of this talk, the punchline is going to be the effect of stress on our brains. And we need to stop there for a moment to understand what that means and what can we do about it. And how do we create conditions that help our brains to thrive. The global reach of stress, basically I had to find a way to use the word global at a financial talk, so the global reach of stress, we'll talk about mental and physical, and it may surprise you some of the physical symptoms that we experience as a result of stress. We need to move the conversation into ways of normalizing our cortisol, ways of turning down our stress hormones, and we're going to divide that into a couple of camps. We'll divide that into specifically botanical medicines that can normalize the secretion of our adrenal gland, and we're going to talk about lifestyle things, and then we're going to talk about just a few notable mentions in helping to create conditions for the brain to thrive, nutrients that are very brain specific and brain protective. What the brain likes. We can't end tonight without talking for a moment about neuroplasticity, because that's kind of fun. What can we do to grow our brains, which is an interesting subject, and then we'll just have some concluding remarks. Maybe to state the obvious, and I think it was said already tonight, to state the obvious, why a talk like this at a financial discussion like this? Why are we talking about this? And I guess it's obvious that my hope for my patients and for people in general, my hope is that that people are as clear and calm as they can be, particularly when they're navigating difficult conditions. So let that be our goal. I want to keep this very practical. I don't want to be too cerebral, excuse the pun. And so I encourage you tonight just to look for things in your own life and ask yourself, hey, is there something I could be doing that would serve my cognitive function? Okay. Understanding stress. Well, a very nice introduction I was given here tonight. They mentioned engineering. So my undergraduate, before I was interested in naturopathic medicine, was engineering. So an equation, anything that can be reduced to an equation, an engineer loves that. And so we came up with the stress equation. Now I should really give credit here for a moment to Dr. Fleischman, who helped put this so succinctly. And that is, let me give you a quick little side story. When I first came back to Manitoba, I enjoyed hosting a radio program, the Natural Health Show. I did that for a few years, broadcast out of the university. And you know, the fun thing about a radio show is as soon as you have a radio show, you can call anyone you want and they'll take your call. So I had great fun phoning physicians, doctors, researchers from all over and just hearing about their insights in medicine and what their experiences were. So one fellow I used to like to chat with is Dr. Fleischman, a psychiatrist out of the Boston area. And he was an interesting man, a psychiatrist. He knew a lot about neurochemistry and a meditator, a Vipassana meditator, interesting man. So the equation goes like this. Life's stressors. Life stressors. Okay. What's your job like? What's the market doing? What's your family like? Life stressors. And you can list whatever falls into your category for you. Plus, the ability to tolerate stress. You can see where I'm going with this equation, the fact that one of the terms was highlighted in yellow. The ability to tolerate stress. So that's going to become a conversation about our secretion of our stress hormones. That combination of events equals the effect of stress. The effect of stress is what we live. Are you clear? Is your memory good? Are you anxious? Can you sleep? Do you have physical symptoms? That's the effect of stress. When you look at that equation, what do you think? What's good about that equation and what's bad? Well, I'll tell you the lousy part of that equation, or I'll tell you at least what patients share with me. Very rarely does someone come into my office and say, hey, I need help. I need you to help me reduce my life stressors. Rarely do they ask that question. Really they're asking, help me to tolerate my circumstances. Among other questions, but that's really what they're talking about when it comes to stress. What about this term right here, life stressors? Easy or tough to change? Tough. It's usually tough. Your job is your job. The market, tonight's conversation, the market is the market. Not so easy to change things there. Not so easy to change things, although I welcome, that's not me arguing for your limitations. I welcome a study of your own stressors in life, and if there's a committee you can get off or change some aspect of your life stressors, great. All the power to you. But really, the good news about this equation is the ability to tolerate stress. That we can do something about without directly changing our life circumstances, and we can affect the outcome, which is the effect of stress. Okay, so I couldn't resist a little equation for you, and the rest of the talk is about the ability to tolerate stress. Role of the adrenal gland. First of all, are people familiar with what a gland is? A gland is something that secretes a hormone. So our thyroid hormone, or our thyroid gland, secretes thyroid hormone. And our adrenal glands, which sit on top of our kidneys, secrete our stress hormones, which are cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, the catecholamines, adrenaline. So let's just talk for a minute. Remember, I haven't lost track of where we're going with this. This is about what the brain likes in cognitive function. That's where I'm headed with this, but I have to stop here for a moment first. Let's talk about, why do you think we're given adrenal glands, by the way? I want to talk for a moment about design here. Why do you think we're given adrenal glands? we needed a mechanism for being able to tolerate short bursts of stress. What happens when our stress hormones are secreted? Our body becomes prepared to fight or to run. The blood is preferentially diverted to the skeletal muscle. Our pupils constrict, our heart rate goes up, our respiration increases. We prepare to fight or to run. Now, that is super useful if you have to fight or run. So wind the clock back 10,000 years, and if you're confronted by saber-toothed tiger, good thing you've got an adrenal gland to prepare you to run or fight. Now, that situation is over in 2 or 3 minutes. It's either going to end well or poorly for you, but it's over in 2 or 3 minutes. That's how we were designed. That's the reason for our adrenal glands. Now, let's fast forward to 2011. Is that the kind of stresses we're facing? We're not facing those kind of stressors. We're not talking about a 3-5 minute window. If you look at the way hormones cascade and affect us and skeletal muscle, that's a short window of time that those types of things are happening. Now, for this design, I hope people won't find me too irreverent, me talking about design of the human body this way, but for this design, do you think that's working for us or not right now? Is that a good fit or not? We're not talking 3-5 minutes. We're just talking about 5 and 10 year windows of what we're going to have to tolerate, of looking at markets, and those are the types of worries that we have now. So what we're experiencing is not the original design. What we're experiencing now is chronic low-grade stress. Not saber-toothed tiger staring at your stress, but chronic low-grade stress. And so that's an important point. Okay, so let's not spend too long here, but just, it's interesting. People describe their lives to you. As a doctor, they describe your lives to you and what they're struggling with and what they're looking for help with. And very commonly I ask myself, okay, so let's talk about stress. Let's see how this person's adrenal gland is doing. So you can test the adrenal gland. You can test their secretion of their stress hormones. Now, I probably shouldn't labor this too much. We'll move on here in a moment. But the adrenal gland also has a very mundane purpose, and this mundane purpose is it has what's called a diurnal variation. It tries to wake us up in the morning. Good morning, everybody, and it fades throughout the day to put us to sleep. And then it wakes us up in the morning and puts us to sleep. So the top graph, you're starting to see this diurnal variation of our cortisol curves. You can test that. You can test that, and I do. And here's an example of a test, and you can see whether people fall within that curve or not. This is an example of someone whose cortisol level is too high, exactly the type of things that we're talking about here. Okay.